Moving on to the introduction of our guest speaker. All right, Khadija. Dr. Khadija, take it away.
Good night, everyone. So, Mr. Christie attended the University of Technology, Jamaica, where he received a Bachelor of Pharmacy, graduating with honors, and developed a love for health and wellness promotion. With a passion for media and content creation, he immediately leapt into the content creator space, spreading health and wellness information. He was quickly named one of Digital Jamaica's People to Watch in the category of media for his consistent work in the digital space. He then became registered as a pharmacist with the Pharmacy Council of Jamaica, where he went on to begin practicing as a registered pharmacist at Sunshine Pharmacy in Clarendon. During his time as a pharmacist, he still maintains his digital presence in the health and wellness field with his Instagram blog at MDC_RX, TikTok page at MDC_RX, and YouTube channel of the same name, MDCRX, where he posts regular content and hosts interactive live sessions for the benefit of his followers. Also, Mr. Christie hosted an extensive webinar on digital presence entitled Own Your Place in the Digital Space, targeted mainly to members of the healthcare force to increase their confidence in the digital plane to promote the spread of accurate health information. He decided to increase his experience of health promotion by dipping his toes into the world of authorship, creating a free mini ebook titled Preventing Non-Communicable Diseases that is available for anyone who is interested, as well as his ebook, The Self-Care Journey, that is available on Amazon and for delivery here in Jamaica. Recently, he has been invited as a speaker at the Pharmaceutical Society of Jamaica's annual pharmacist conference, at which he gave a riveting presentation on digital branding for pharmacists, teaching the pharmacists in attendance to be more present as pillars of accurate health information. His work continues to permeate all relevant audiences, impacting the lives of many, whether health professionals or laymen. And without further ado, Mr. Christie, you're up.
All right, thanks everyone. Thank you, Kadesha, for that introduction. Hello everyone, thank you all so much for having me here. I really enjoyed the meeting so far. I always love hearing what the club has been achieving. It's very inspiring. And sometimes I like tagging along with you guys to, do the beach cleanup and stuff like that. So good job to all of you. Let's get into the presentation. Let me get my screen share up. Hold on 1 second. All right, is everyone seeing my screen, by the way?
It's loading on my end. Yes, I'm seeing it now.
Okay, good. Yes, so getting into the presentation, lifestyle and non-communicable diseases. All right, so let's jump right into it. Hold on, my computer's lagging. All right, so I'm just gonna start off with a brief overview of disease and what disease is. I know everyone knows what disease is, but we have to start from somewhere to build up the, the foundation. All right, so disease, it comes from the old French des, which is the negative of anything that it is in front of, and ease, meaning ease. So basically the word itself, disease, just means lack of ease. Generally, it's just a misfunction or disorder of a structure in an organism or a disorder of function. As I said, misfunction. All right, so let's start with the types of diseases. So you have two types of diseases. You have communicable diseases and you have non-communicable diseases. So for communicable diseases, now these are spread from one source or one reservoir to another by a vehicle such as air, food, insects, feces, or water. Then I want to can catch them. So once you hear say, yo, me catch this, that's a communicable disease. We can also call these ones infectious diseases. So what examples can we think of when it comes on to non-communicable diseases? Can anyone think of any examples?
COVID.
That's a good one.
HIV or other sexual transmitted diseases.
That's a good one as well. Can I get one more? Anybody want to squeeze in?
The flu.
The flu, yeah man, good. That's a very good one. Thank you. So as you said, yes, cold or flu. They're not the same thing, but they're just normally grouped up in at the same type of symptoms. So I just put them in the same bulletin. So the cold or the flu, cholera, that's our next one, chickenpox, and COVID-19. Now let's move on to our non-communicable diseases. This one is the one that we're going to be focusing on for tonight. So these ones are these that are developed from genetics, environment, or lifestyle, and maybe cannot be passed on, as previously mentioned. So it's not going to be passed on from water, food, insects, or whatever I mentioned earlier. It's not going to be passed on in those ways. And these ones, we can call them lifestyle diseases. We can. The vast majority of non-communicable diseases can be called lifestyle diseases. Some of them, we can't really call them lifestyle diseases because some of them is not lifestyle that can cause it, So for some of them, lifestyle can affect it or can increase the amount of episodes you have. But some of them, once you have the gene for it, like for example, sickle cell, that's not a lifestyle disease, but certain things that you do in your life can act up the episodes, just like asthma as well. So not all of them are lifestyle diseases, but the vast majority of them are lifestyle diseases. For these ones now, drop some examples. We're getting 3 examples out as again.
Hypertension.
Diabetes.
And one more.
Cancer.
Someone said EM, I think that means diabetes mellitus. Yes, so thank you, that's Stephanie Fetcher. All right, so yes, high blood pressure, or as they call it, pressure, hypertension, high blood sugar, diabetes, or asthma, or COPD. Those again are the same thing. They're just kind of, similar in kind of how we treat them a bit. So I just put them in the same bulletin. And cancer. And can anybody remember what COPD meant? I hear a mic on mute. Anybody can remember?
Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease.
Yes. Thank you very much for that one. Stephanie's on fire tonight. All right, so let's go into non-communicable diseases specifically now. So non-communicable diseases account for 70% of deaths worldwide. So 70% of people dying every day, non-communicable diseases or NCDs. So that's a bit of a problem because you can see that's the vast majority of deaths in the world. So almost 3/4 of all NCD deaths and 82% of 60 million people who have died prematurely or before 70 years occur in low and middle income countries. So what we can gather from that now is there's definitely a tie towards a lifestyle when it comes on to our low or middle income countries, and it kind of ties into accessibility and affordability. Now, as we can see, if you're going to Wendy's or KFC and you look at the regular menu, they're expensive, but then you go over and you look at a salad. Have you ever looked at a salad in KFC or Wendy's? It's the price compared to the regular meals. Or you can look at, say, McDonald's. You have a $1 menu, but you go to, say, probably like a vendor that's selling like a fruit salad or like a vegetable salad, and you see how much higher the price is. And even when you're shopping for groceries in general, you realize that little snacks not them cheaper than the vegetables or the things that are more healthy. So healthier things tend to be more expensive. So we see a trend where we're going to a supermarket, boy, this month just did kind of rough with the rent and bills and everything. So guess what? I'm going to just buy what we can afford. And when you buy what you can afford now, it comes with all the things that are associated with, increasing your risk for NCDs. That's a situation, but we have to look into that. And as Stephanie is saying, it's cheaper to kill yourself off. Exactly. It's sad, but that's just the reality. Just wanted to touch on that for a bit. And these stats I got from the WHO from an article written in 2021. But NCDs are on the rise. So it's not a case where, all right, sure, there might be an issue, but it's going down. What we find is that they are increasing. The incidences of these diseases are increasing. Me as a pharmacist working in the pharmacy, I'm seeing more cases of even younger people coming in more frequently for, say, pressure medication, sugar medication, and then you look at the prescription age and you realize, oh wow, this is them. It's not their grandma, it's not their father. So it's kind of becoming a thing of the past where you say, no man, when I get that sugar or pressure until we reach so and so age or so on. That's becoming a thing of the past because, as you can realize, more people younger are getting these diseases. So it's definitely a responsibility of all of us to look into our lives and look into what we can do to start preventing these or how we can nip it in the bud earlier. So now we're going to look at the risks of NCDs. What increases your risk of NCDs? So you have there's two types of risk factors I'm looking at based on how it can be controlled. You have non-modifiable risk factors and you have modifiable risk factors. So for the non-modifiable risk factors, now you have age. I know a lot of people, I'm probably 30 and I'm not going to tell people, oh, I'm 20, this and that, but that doesn't count. At the base of it, you cannot modify your age. For your environment. Now, your environment, you can't just tell people, well, if your environment is bad, you just move. And a lot of the times, changing the environment, you might not be able to tell it to say, all right, this is definitely affecting me, so I need to move. And also, as I said earlier, moving is not the easiest thing. I just moved from Maple to Kingston the other day. It's been like a month now, and I'm still trying to, sort out myself. So it's not the easiest thing. So we classify environment under a non-modifiable risk factor. Genes, family genes. So what passes down in your family. When you hear your grandmother say, all right, sugar running in my family, your grandfather says strokes running in our family, that's what we talk about when we say family genes or genotype. You know what genes you have, what genes you have, what's being passed down from generation. Now looking to sex now, I put phenotype because I wanted to look at sex in terms of how it is expressed biologically. So however sex is expressed phenotypically or physically from birth, that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at gender or even sex itself at the base. It might be able to be changed, but it's not easy and it's not a simple process. So we are keeping that under non-modifiable risk factors for now. So sex, phenotype, how basically that deals with how your genes are expressed. So, you probably have the gene for more adipose tissue deposition in women. You're a man, so you're probably more likely to get hypertension. Things like that. That's what we're talking about. All right, now we're going on to modifiable risk factors. Now, these are the ones that you can control. So these are the ones that we're going to focus on because, a wise person once told me, you can't sit down and worry about what you can change. You have to sit down and worry about what you can change. What you're worrying on needs to be able to be changed. And you have to be supposed to be worrying on that too, because if you can't change it, don't worry about it. All right, so we're going to look at tobacco use. And when we talk about tobacco use, we're not talking about smoking alone, we're talking about chewing it as well. So it's not just smoking tobacco. So don't feel like if you're chewing tobacco, you're kind of off the hook. We're going to talk about tobacco use in a bit. We're talking about physical inactivity. So not exercising enough, not getting enough, walking around, jogging. You're not doing enough physical activity. You probably have a desk job, you get up. If you drive, you drive to work, go on your desk, sit, to the elevator, come back home, tired, sleep. Physical inactivity that can lead to a higher risk of developing NCDs. An unhealthy diet. Remember earlier I was talking about Wendy's and KFC. You're going to Wendy's and KFC, you're not getting a salad. No one's getting a salad. Come on. Every Friday, every Saturday, and not even every Friday, every Saturday, every day, KFC line long. Go back a way. So we can see there's a rise in unhealthy diets, and especially in this COVID period and pandemic period, there's a rise in inactivity because they can't really go outside. They can't really go outside as much. There's a booming, well, in Jamaica, we now have delivery for these places. So when as before, you'd have to probably walk, take a taxi, go to KFC. You can just sit down in bed, you sleep, you wake up, do a little thing on the computer, 12 o'clock, open up 7 Crave or whatever delivery services in your area, and you get KFC. Yeah. Now we're looking at the harmful use of alcohol. So for people who heavily use alcohol, people who definitely cannot go without going to the grocery store and coming home without having a bottle of something. People like that, whereas that they're having a heavy consumption of alcohol, they definitely need to look into that because that can increase the risk for NCDs. And also another modifiable risk is your weight. Now put an asterisk there because in certain instances, it may not be modifiable sometimes in terms of you might have, say, pituitary gland issues, or you might have glandular issues where it's like, no matter what you're doing, you cannot get off the weight. I knew the story of, it was an athlete. She was an athlete, not like a big athlete, it was just like a documentary on this athletic woman, and she just suddenly got diagnosed with this glandular condition, and she just started gaining weight. She would still be active on some, but she just started gaining weight. So that's why I have the asterisk there, because in certain cases like those, it might not be modifiable as easily as, say, someone who just sit down and out of the KFC and so on, like if them exercise a little bit, it comes off. So we're looking at that type of weight where it's like, if you just put in a little work, it come off. That's the kind of weight gain we're talking about. All right, so now let's zoom into a modifiable risk, because that's what we have to focus on, as I said earlier. Tobacco use. So as I said, not just smoking. Yes, I have a cigarette on the screen, but it's more than that. Smoking and chewing tobacco actually increases your risk of cancer. Chewing tobacco can increase your risk of mouth and throat cancer. Smoking tobacco, as we know, lung cancer. And not even just lung cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, almost every cancer. The number one modifiable risk, or like around that area, is smoking tobacco. So trust me, smoking tobacco is not something you want to be picking up as a habit if you have not. And if you are doing it, definitely think about quitting. It's not easy, first of all, let me say that. So don't hear me say stop and feel like, oh, I can't stop, so something wrong with me. No, it's hard. So you can definitely go to one of the health centers and ask for help with a smoking cessation program. Let's go on. Tobacco now accounts for over 7.2 million deaths every year. Now that includes the effects from exposure to secondhand smoke. So yes, when you expose people to secondhand smoke, if you're a smoker, they can actually have a heightened risk for some of these NCDs as well, or some acute illnesses, because they've been exposed to the secondhand smoke. So it's not just you sometimes if you're a smoker, or it's not just the smoker, it's people around them that's being affected as well. Like father that loves smoking in the evening, affecting the wife, the children. And also that figure is projected to increase markedly over the coming years. And guess what? Stressful conditions are increasing. You have a COVID, as I said, you have job layoffs happening, you have certain type of jobs not really hiring as much, you have more automations coming, so you have redundancies in work. So there's stressful times coming, stressful times are ahead. So guess what? More people are going to be turning to coping mechanisms. One big one is smoking. So it's definitely one that we need to look out for. If we're on it, kind of need to start tapering off and definitely look for help with that one. Physical inactivity now. See this lady, she's in our coach reading, or he, I'm not sure. Yeah, that person is in the coach. They're reading. No, I'm not sure if this person was in the coach all day, but so just a representation. If you're just sitting down all the time, you're realizing in the coach, it's work time, you're clocking, you just open up the computer and you're just there in the coach, or you're just in the bed, or seat, as I said, physical inactivity is getting higher. It can increase your risk for NCDs. 1.6 million deaths annually can be attributed to insufficient physical activity. Now, physical activity can increase your risk of cardiovascular issues, because walking around gets your heart pumping, keeps the heart rhythm intact. It kind of pushes around the blood in your vessels, so it keeps things. It has a lower chance of having things deposit on either side or whatever side of the vessel, so it reduces your risk of atherosclerosis when you're moving up and down. So when you're sitting down now and you're eating the high cholesterol KFC, you can have depositions, or inactivity while smoking, you can have depositing of things along the vessels, because smoking as well does increase your risk for cardiovascular issues. So you see how all these things kind of combine as well. We're going to move on to the next one, which is unhealthy diet. As I was talking about, those high fat foods, high fatty foods, you know, or high sugar foods, they can again increase your risk for non-communicable diseases and cardiovascular issues, which are NCDs. So 4.1 million annual deaths have been attributed to excess salt and sodium intake. So once you hear salt, sodium, you know immediately to look towards your pressure, hypertension. Too much salt, immediately know that you're going to start getting hypertensive symptoms. Well, not symptoms, signs where your pressure is elevated. And that's the thing about pressure as well. You don't want to get symptoms. So when you hear people saying, oh, my head hurt me, so my pressure high, that might not be their pressure. Or if your head starts hurt you when you have pressure, that means your pressure is way too high. You might need to go to the hospital. So you don't want to be getting symptoms with pressure if you have pressure. And also don't wait until you have symptoms to tell if you have pressure, because you're not going to get symptoms with the pressure just like that. You need to be going to your doctor regularly, getting your pressure checks done, because you should be getting your annual checkup from a doctor so you can see what's going off the charts. All right, harmful use of alcohol now. More than half of the 3.3 million annual deaths attributed to alcohol are from NCDs, including cancer. So we see how all these things can increase your risk of these NCDs. So what we're gonna do now, we'll have to modify our risks. So we have to look at our modifiable risks, and then we have to sort those out. So prevention is better than cure. Everybody always hear this, but you know, they probably kind of shrug it off and be like, nothing I'm gonna do, become young. But as I was telling you, younger people are getting these diseases as well. It is better for you to focus on your modifiable risk for illness or general health, especially if you're prone to some NCDs. So if you know that your grandmother has sugar in your family, you want to be tailoring your lifestyle towards preventing that specific illness, but also you want to be preventing the other ones as well. So as I was saying, a conscious change in lifestyle choice can help you reduce your chances of developing NCDs. So in my readings recently, I've been reading around certain health topics. I was reading about diabetes the other day, and I saw this, and it was really interesting to me. It was a diabetes prevention program. It was a study done basically on pre-diabetic people. It was about 3,000 odd people. They were all pre-diabetic because they had elevated sugar levels, but it's certain type of sugar readings weren't really saying, all right, it's diabetes, but other types of sugar readings were saying, yeah, this elevated, so you might have to watch out. So people like these, if them smell like a next donut or something, they would have probably catch diabetes. So it's people like that the study was done on. It was split into two, so probably 1.5 here, 1.5 here, and one group was given metformin, no lifestyle change, and the other group was put on intensive lifestyle modification. So, you know, exercise change, doing more exercise, eating right, stuff like that. And you want to know what the results of this study was. It showed that metformin had less of an impact than the intensive lifestyle modification on reducing or reduction of the incidence of diabetes. And I don't know if you all know, because I'm a pharmacist, for me, this is like, ooh, because you know what metformin is. If you don't know what metformin is, you don't have diabetes, or you're not pre-diabetic. Because metformin is that gold anti-diabetic drug that's like, once you have diabetes, metformin. So just to know that it's gold standard drug, even put beside this gold standard drug, intensive lifestyle modification still came out on top. That's just to show you how big and how important lifestyle modification is to preventing NCDs like diabetes. And I feel like this is something that you can put across the board with different NCDs as well. So what can you do now? You want to set small goals. You don't want to look down there and be like, all right, you should start with the gym and do this, that. You know, if you know you don't have the time, you start small goals. Get up in the mind, probably do a little stretch, a little squatting, jogging place for a bit, some, jumping jacks, yes. So begin small alterations to your lifestyle if you haven't started already. But if you started doing your small little alterations already, probably start thinking towards increasing the levels if you can. So if you already start a little walking place, a little jumping jacks, start thinking towards that. Maybe we can start jog a little bit, you know? All right, so these are some examples of things that you can do to just decrease your risk of these NCDs. You want to use less salt when cooking, so that can start off the hypertension. And to consume less sugary drinks, or try swapping water at times. So if you know you drink a lot of drinks throughout the week, probably start a system where, all right, today I drink a drink, so then tomorrow I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to drink some water, probably not for the entire day, probably about one drink, you know, for the day. But every other day, I'm going to drink water instead of drinks, these sugary drinks. You want to reduce tobacco use, and I asterisk that because, yes, you might need help with this. If you realize you can't just reduce it, if you realize you can reduce it and you're fine, then that's good. But when you start looking larger towards quitting now, that's when you might need to get help from a professional. So don't feel any way if you realize, oh my goodness, I cannot stop. Don't feel like you're broken. Definitely go and seek out help from a health center. You want to reduce alcohol consumption, say it's me put an alcohol budget there. I put it there because in my mind, because you know sometimes I go out and so on, you know, with my friends, you're being social. You want to have an alcohol budget where it's like, all right, I'm not going to have more than 2 drinks for tonight. I'm not going to have more than 1 drink for tonight. And that's me for like once, let me just put it at once a week, because some week I don't go out, but you know, say once a week, you probably just have 1 drink for the night. So have an alcohol budget. Do not go over that, you know, and try to stay away from things like, all right, pay 1 money and drinks free for the night, or drinks included for the night. Stay away from things like that, because you know you're going to be tempted to just get drinks. Increase exercise, brisk walk or jog. Myself, sometimes I jog. For me, I like to park farther in wherever I'm going. I like to park a bit farther so I can walk a bit more. And I use the stairs at work. Now, where I work currently, it's a very tall building. So, and I'm on the 4th floor. So like anytime I need to leave, I'm just going up and down those stairs. So that's one small change that I made. I'm going to look into going bigger soon, but you know, when I finish starting myself with the moving and all of that. All right. As I said, use stairs at work instead of elevator. Try to eat a balanced diet with not too much of any food group. If you're going to go too much of anything, go too much vegetables, maybe. And by vegetables, I mean not starchy vegetables, and probably not even too much fruits either, because sometimes fruits have a high amount of sugar. So you want to just be moderate in any food group. You want to schedule. You can add these goals and activities to your regular schedule to help concretize the change. So, you know, if you have a schedule, just add these things in there. Be like, all right, when I come home from work, instead of just sitting down, you know, I can do a little bit of this, or before I wake up, right after I wake up, I can do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you know. So it's in your mind to be like, all right, this is what I should do next. Ask for help. So you heard me saying ask for help throughout it, especially for the tobacco. But for any of these things, ask for help. Express your desired changes to close associates, especially like, you know, if you're going out and that's what affects these things. So like if you're going out and you realize that's when you drink out alcohol. If you're a social smoker, you know, things that you're going out and you realize, all right, going to TGI, you had a burger, you're going out, you go KFC. Talk to your friend group and be like, all right, maybe we can try some health at this time. I personally cannot eat this right now because I'm looking towards this, that, this and that. And relapse is a part of it. I just want to share that relapse is a part of it. According to the behavioral change model used in psychology, relapse is a part of the behavior change cycle. It's a behavior change cycle. So it can be a cycle where it can either be linear to behavior change, or it can also be a cycle to relapse, and you have to start at one of the phases. So don't feel like, oh, I never got to jog this morning. Can't do it. Just can't do it. No, you just relapsed that one morning. But hey, it's fine. Just get up back on the horse and try it again. What did I want to share? I want to share something. Can't remember. But yeah, I think that's it for the night. Thank you guys so much. Now on the left-hand side, I think that's left, yeah. You see preventing NCDs or preventing non-communicable diseases. That is a free e-guide that if you follow that QR code to it, you can get your free copy of that free e-guide. For the right-hand side now, that's my book, book that I just recently published and launched. It's called The Self-Care Journey. Now, the reason why I love this book so much, I'm so proud of it, is because it has it has the natural progression of behavior change. It has the chapters going, the beginning, the plan, the action. And I was trying to go through that with you, that order in the slides where like you have the realization of, okay, I might need to sort out my life. And I realize that intensive lifestyle modification can be even better than medication. So I need to, sort out myself. Then you have the plan. What is it you're going to do? What you're going to, what activities you want to do to prevent certain NCDs, and then action, how you're going to do it. You want to be asking for help, you want to be scheduling it. Yes, and this book also has in some guided journal spaces that you can write down things in it. So if you want your copy, just follow the QR code on the far right, and it's available on Amazon, and it's available for delivery in Jamaica if you follow the form that says delivery in Jamaica. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. Wait, no, I have one more question. Sorry, I have a question that when you answer it, you also can get points for the game that we were playing. So I wanted you to list my question. I think it probably ties in with a question that Prezi did earlier. But my question was give 2 modifiable risks for NCDs and 2 non-modifiable risks for NCDs. Wow, Stephanie. Okay, Stephanie, go ahead.
Okay, so for non-modifiable, you have age and genetics. And for modifiable, you have physical activity and unhealthy diets.
Okay, Steph. Congratulations. Your team must love to have you. But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. This has been my presentation. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you learned something. And thank you again for having me, Prezi.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Christie. Any questions for Mr. Christie? I see there's a question in the chat. Let me first welcome President Mark Anthony from the Rotaract Club of Kingston, and he asks, locally carbonated drinks or beverages were banned from school. There was the Jamaica Moves initiative, and there have been similar initiatives overseas. What more can, and he said, public and private sector do to help prevent NCDs?
What more can be done? I definitely feel like there needs to be more education around how important it is, because when it's in schools and it's just like, all right, we're just banning this, banning that, it might just be seeming like, all right, it's just restricted. But I feel like this definitely needs to be more education around how important it is. Look into more studies like the diabetes prevention program that shows you that, even against the standard, the gold standard medication, intensive lifestyle change is definitely the way to go. And you want to be starting from young. And you want to also be pushing to the young people that, listen, it's starting from these young ages. You don't have to be old anymore to get arthritis. You don't have to be old anymore to get diabetes, sugar, or hypertension. So I feel like that's one thing we definitely can do, push that into our schools. And also, I feel like in the pharmacies, it's happening now, but like in the pharmacies, there can be more resources for information in terms of, all right, what do you call it, like pamphlets and so on that share the information as well to our passerbys, because you have people coming in, picking up medication for their grandma, their grandpa, and they're probably like, this not gonna reach me, because when we're young. So, definitely my stance is definitely more education and more passing up information. That's where my mind is at. I hope that answers your question, by the way.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Christie? I saw Stephanie and went up, but I saw it going back down. Not sure if she had a question.
No, they didn't.
All right, great. All right, I have a question, Mishka. You mentioned that these diseases are now manifesting themselves at earlier ages, and I must admit that growing up, diabetes is something that runs in my family, and I would see my grandmother passing from diabetes, my granduncle passing from diabetes, and it was something in the back of my head, in your mind, diabetes is on both sides of the family, but it's a whole people disease. Right, so I have some time. But what do you think is some of the the reason why, you know, young persons are getting these much earlier than you know, anticipated?
Yeah, well, I definitely feel like it has to do with accessibility as well. When you were younger, you were more, I don't want to say, yeah, I guess it was more rural, where it was like more grown provision, more, you know, that type of food where it's like, you could say, even though it was a lot of starchy food and it would again potentiate their diabetes, it was still healthier than, say, eating McDonald's, eating ramen noodles all the time, or cup soup all the time. Yeah, what has happened recently is these foods are just being made in bulk. They're being made cheaper. They're being made with higher, because what you have to realize as well, you know, these sugars and these salts are also being used for, can also be used for preservatives. So the fact that something is high sugar, they might want to put in more sugar in something so that it can last longer, or like put more salt in something so it can last longer. So, and that's where, you know, things like canned beef come from, because things like this can be used as preservatives. So the mere fact that you have more commercialization, there's more capitalism, where it's like you have like a greater amount of things being sold in stores where they have to be on shelves and wait until somebody come pick it up, and they need longer shelf lives. They're going to be having them having more salt, going to be having them having more sugar, or more things that are just harmful to the body, rather than things that are grown from the ground, preservative free, most likely insecticide free. Your grandmother grow it, she pick it, she cook it. So if you know exactly what's in that versus what's in KFC, what are the 11 spices? You know, I mean, the spices aren't harmful, but you know, it's just still the fact of you're not sure what's going into these foods. And also, we're just being more, we're more able to get jobs like desk jobs nowadays, rather than back in the day where it's more, you build a house, you help build Mass Joe house, don't they say help your mother tie out goat, you help them farm, things that were more physical labor. Now we realize we're getting more office jobs and so on. And then especially now with this pandemic where it's work from home and there's more remote jobs, there are two sides to it, where it can either get better, it can either get worse, where it's like remote jobs can give more time to exercise, or remote jobs can give you a higher chance of just lying down in a bed and just opening up your laptop and just doing what you need to do, and then staying in a bed all day. So that's why I think it's a higher incidence of diabetes and NCDs in younger people.
All right, so thank you. So in essence, then I should quit my job and go tie some goats.
Yes, I'm joking. No, do not quit your job. Please don't quit your job.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Christie, guys? If you don't have any other questions or you're too shy, you can always post them in the chat. What I'll do is I'll post the links to Mr. Christie's different social media platforms that you can, you know, follow him and learn more about these health issues that we face as young people. All right.
Slide in the DMs. I won't run you.
Yes. All right. Great.
Get a copy of the self-care journey if you can.
All right, no problem. All right, so we're gonna allow our Sarge to do the vote of thanks. Andre.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me use the opportunity to express our gratitude to Mr. Christie on taking the time out on presenting a very insightful and informative presentation on disease prevention and non-communicable diseases. Now more than ever, NCDs can be a plague to mankind, and this presentation certainly brought an insight and awareness to the issue. As Mr. Christie said, prevention is always better than cure. Eat healthy, set goals, and ask for help in whatever way. So with that said, thank you once again, Mr. Christie, on behalf of the Rotaract Club of Mandeville. We certainly look forward to a future collaboration with you on this topic, and as can everyone just use their virtual claps to express our gratitude to Mr. Christie?